This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to the Chazak organization. You do tremendous amount of work for Klal Yisrael, especially in Queens. In fact, we have three of the, don't want me to mention them, but I'll do it anyways. But I have three of the boys of the Yeshiva Bochum that we used to learn in J with how many years ago we're talking about? 5-6 years ago. These guys are about to get married. We started over here in Bet Gavriel upstairs. These guys are now in Yeshivot. They're learning Torah, connected to Hashem. All b'schut of Aviel Meir and Chacham Yaniv from Chazak. It's a good job for Chazak. Keep on going. Whoever can support them. It's a huge mitzvah. It's good to have it in your pocket when you go to Olam Haba. And no other organization I want to thank is... I'm causing trouble already? Yes. Another organization is Torah Anytime. Chacham Shimon Kol Yaakov and Chacham Reuven, which I got close to over the years. They do tremendous work for the world. I'll tell you a quick story. I went to Arizona for Shabbat. Friday night, a teenage boy, he's probably listening right now, a teenage boy got up and he spoke about how he started keeping Shabbat. And he said that he was struggling about keeping Shabbat. Should I keep it, not keep it? His Rav in Arizona tells him, all I'm asking you is to look at one clip. One clip, look at it. This boy said that he looked at that clip, and that clip was from Torah Anytime. And b'schut that one clip that was sent to him, he started keeping Shabbat. Those were his words. I heard it Friday night when I went for a Shabbaton. You hear this? And people underestimate the power of all these clips of Torah, of Yirat Shamayim, of Torah Anytime. It has a tremendous koach to help and get involved with such an organization. And especially the Daily Dose, if you're not signed up, sign up if you happen to have an iPhone. And the app, the Daily Dose app, and the Torah Anytime app. These things have a tremendous effect, tremendous. You're never going to know where your itzah, your suggestion to get involved with Torah Anytime and tell other people about their website, you know how far it could go. One time I was in a college, and I knew it's my last time speaking at that college. For whatever reason it was my last time speaking there. And I thought to myself, what can I give these boys as a last thing, just like who knows where they're going to go from here? But we'll see each other Be'imot Mashiach. But for now, what? I told them, you know what, Rabbatai, there's a website called TorahAnytime.com. They had no clue. And I made sure they went on it by the college in the room over there, and they went on Torah Anytime, and saw them really fascinated about the idea that there's so many speeches on one website. It was a quick thought Hashem gave me, and boom, who knows how many Jews are just inspired. So whoever can spread the word about Torah Anytime, about the Daily Dose, about the app, you can have tremendous zichuyot, and you can sit as a warrior of Hashem in this world and the next world. Thursday, I got a call. I was not planning on talking about this, but I got a call from my mother just to show you the battle that we're in right now in Galut, in exile. We're in the middle of a battle. The Rambam writes in Igeret Teman, he wrote a letter to the Yemenite Jews that were going through a hard time. He wrote that there's always going to be two different types of battles in Golus, in exile. Either they're going to force us physically not to serve Hashem, which means hurt us and kill us, or they're going to intimidate us and try to push us with their culture not to follow Hashem. That's what the Rambam writes in Igeret Taman. It's either or. Either they force you, take you by the neck, don't keep Shabbat, or they tell you, Shabbat is okay, but you're a loser for keeping Shabbat. Come to our world, come to this, come watch a movie, come to this. La'at la'at, they're going to influence more and more Jews not to follow Hashem. That's what the Rambam writes. In our generation, Rabotai, Lelo Safek, with no doubt, we're in the middle of a major battle. A huge culture war is happening as we speak. And nothing, chas shalom, is an accident. There's a reason why Hashem chose us to be alive in such a generation. If Hashem, He could have chose the Rambam to be living right now. He could have chose Rashi. He could have chose the Ben Ish Chai. He chose us, every single one of us over here, to fight this battle. That means we're capable of winning the culture war. What is the culture war? Very simple. Either you're pro-God or you're against God. It doesn't get more obvious than right now. Either you're for Hashem or you're against Hashem. Either you're for the doing the right thing, or you're for doing the lazy stuff and taking the easy way out. The culture is clear, and you have to choose which team you're on. But Hashem chose us to fight for His name in this generation. Thursday, I got a call from a mother who sends her kid to a public school in the Jersey area. She doesn't want him there, but he's there. She calls him, she's like, Rabbi, I need you to come meet my son. What happened? This past year, they're about to start the new year, so this past year in high school, he got suspended, an Israeli kid. He got suspended. Suspended for what? For calling a guy by his real name, even though he claims he's a girl. That's what happened. He called him by his name was Charlie. He said, Charlie, hey, Charlie. The principal said, that's bullying. Bullying, out of the school, suspended. And that ruins your diploma. That ruins your future in college. It's very damaging. She went crazy. She said, I can't believe this. Even I, who thought public school was not that bad, now I realize how bad all this culture stuff is, all these bad universities and colleges. And of course, you should get your degree. But be aware when you're sitting in college, know that your enemies are all over you, who are trying to influence you not to follow Hashem. Then I thought to myself after that phone call, we know the Chachamim always tell us, in every ra, in every bad, quote unquote, there's always good. Our avodah, our job is to look for the good in the bad, look for the tov in the ra. So for years, and I'm sure my Chachamim friends over here can testify, I get very frustrated at what's going on in the world with the culture, with the Democrats and liberals. I can go crazy from their mindset, crazy. And I always thought, is there any good in such people? I don't see it. I don't see any good in such people. I don't even know why they're around. Why is Hashem putting them here? Such people, such bad ideas and weird ideas. But this Thursday, I thought to myself, now I have pshat, how there's good in every bad. Right now, these liberals took over all the schools in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut. They took over all the public schools, all the colleges, all the universities. All these weird-minded people took over the culture. So even parents who until now sent their kids to public school, hopefully from now on will start waking up, wait a minute, let me take my kid out of public school. Just like they told us in last generation, anti-Semitism is very bad. But there was one plus to anti-Semitism. That is, you know how to separate yourself from a goy, from the Gentiles of the world. When a goy tells you you're not part of us, the Jew stays away. When the Jew stays away, he stays Jewish. There was a little bit of a plus to anti-Semitism. It's wrong and evil. It should never be around, but there is the tov and the ra. So too with all these liberals across the country. Where's the tov? Where's the good? You know what the good is? Now everyone's going to leave public school because no one wants their child in a school where you get kicked out because you called a boy by his first name. And that's right now. Let's see what happens in 5 years from now. Which parent will send their crown jewels of life, their children, to such a school under responsibility of such evil, weird, nasty people? No one will do such a thing like that. So that's the tov in the ra. At least there's some good in the liberals. How do you like that, huh? Yes? We should tell it to Trump, no? I'm joking. Okay, so now back to Tisha B'Av. The Gemara tells us the Mashiach, one of the ways he's going to come, he's going to ride on a donkey, on a chamor. Says the Arizal, why a chamor? Why a donkey? He says chamor is melashon chumriyut. Chumriyut is physical pleasures, desires, worldly things. The way Mashiach is going to come, it's giving us a hint, a remez. The way Mashiach is going to come specifically in our generation is because of the chumriyut, of all the physical pleasures that we have in this world. The way Mashiach is going to ride into Israel and build a Beit HaMikdash is because a generation is going to be so full of desires and so full of the pursuit of physical pleasures, it's going to get so low in the ta'avot. Because of that reason, because of the chumriyut, that's where Mashiach is going to come. So when the Gemara says that Mashiach is going to ride on the chamor, what it means is Mashiach is going to come because the generation is going to be full of chumriyut, full of physical pleasures, and because of that, Mashiach is going to ride straight in and bring the Geulah and bring the redemption. And says the Arizal, why is it specifically in a generation where people are so involved with physical pleasures, Mashiach is going to come? So he says, because a little or is doche arbe min hachoshech. A little light in such a generation, a little truth, pushes away a lot of the darkness. So even though you're going to have people in our generation as we speak that are involved in physical desires, that does not define who they are whatsoever. You tell them a Dvar Torah, you inspire them for one Shabbat, you give them a try. Don't push them off. Give them a try and spread the Torah v'yirat shamayim. A little bit of light can push away all the darkness in this world. So because the generation is pretty low, full of physical desires, Specifically because of that reason that we're like that, that's exactly why Mashiach is going to come. Because for such people, a little light of Torah brings them back. So when the Gemara says the generation is going to be low, when the Gemara says the generation is going to have weird mindset about pursuing only physical pleasures, which is happening right now in the United States and all over the world. Everything is about pursuing physical pleasure. Why is the generation like that? Why do the liberals have so much power? Why? What's going on? Wait a minute, Yaakov. What are you talking about? That's going to bring Mashiach. There's going to be so much choshech in the world, so much darkness, so much pursuit of physical desires, that the people that are learning Torah are going to bring so much light. Because of that light, it's going to push off the darkness, and that's why Mashiach is going to come. So it's not by accident that we live in such a generation. Everything is calculated by Kadosh Baruch Hu. Every single one of the neshamas, every single soul in this world right now, Hashem handpicked you as a soldier for His army in this generation, in this battle specifically, with no exaggeration. You're going to college, you're going to university, you got to be tough, you got to be strong. Don't be embarrassed to wear a yarmulke. If it's physically dangerous, that's something else. Otherwise, don't be embarrassed to wear a yarmulke. Someone makes fun of you. Why do you make a bracha? Why do you make a blessing? Who do you guys think you are? Fight. Fight. You meet somebody that's an atheist, take him over. Beat him up spiritually. Who do you think you are? You screaming, why am I serving a God? You're so foolish you can't even serve a God. Who are you? You're a lowlife. Always fight for Kadosh Baruch Hu. You got to be confident. You got to be tough. That's the battle in this world. The name of Hashem has to win. And who did Hashem choose? Us. So not necessarily, if somebody doesn't learn all day, let's say Hashem chose him, your job is to go to university, your job is to work all day. You have a tremendous opportunity in the workforce and in the college to really fight for Hashem, where a guy who learns all day doesn't have the opportunity to fight for Hashem in that way. You're around people that hate Hashem. Hashem chose you as a general. Take them all out. Let's go. You're going to college, university, the more liberal it is, the bigger soldier you are. Stand up for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't let the culture of the Goyim intimidate you. Because remember, the Gemara says, Mashiach is going to come because of your battles. Your light in the world of spreading Hashem's name and the truth is exactly bringing Mashiach. You have to look up to yourself. I know this sounds weird, but you have to look up to yourself. You have to value who you are. The Gemara tells us in Sanhedrin Daf Lamed Zayin, every person, chayav lomar, is obligated, not ratzui like suggested, chayav, you have to say, bishvili nivra ha'olam, the world was created for me. Is that a Baal Gaiva? Does that sound like somebody that has an ego? How did the Gemara say that? Not suggested. You have to say the world was created for me. Not for Chacham Ovadia, not for Rashi, not for the Ben Ish Chai, not for Chaim Kanievsky. The world was created for me. Chayav to say it. You're obligated. Why? So the way of Shlomo Amar, the chief rabbi of Yerushalayim, described it. He said a beautiful mashal. He says, imagine you have a helicopter. Right now, recently, who passed away by the helicopter? Kobe. Thank you. Okay, he passed away in a helicopter. He says, imagine the helicopter has all these expensive tools. Imagine one of the small screws on top of the propeller, like, imagine one of the small screws says, I'm out. Little small screw. The whole helicopter pieces and tools are going to start screaming, hey, what are you doing? And the little screw tells them, relax. I'm a little screw. What are you making such a big deal of? That little screw can mess up the whole helicopter and everything can crash with all the expensive tools. Says of Shlomo Amar, every single one of us has a chelik, has a part in Team Hashem in this world. Nobody can say, I'm out. There's plenty of rabbis, plenty of chachamim, plenty of Torah. Who needs me? I'm out. What do you mean you're out? If you don't do your job and your mission with your talents, how in the world is Team Hashem going to win? We need you. So says the Gemara, every single person has to say, Bishvili nivra olam, the world needs me. It's not some fairy tale, it's a reality. If you don't accomplish the mitzvot, you can do, nobody else will. So chayav, you must say, the world was created for me. I am that important piece that the whole Team Hashem needs, and I will succeed. You have to value who you are. Hashem chose you for a reason. You are worth for Hashem to put you in the battle in this world. That means you're capable of a lot. I want to share with you a story that just happened a couple of weeks ago in Israel. Just to show you how Every person has a chelik, a part in Judaism. This person, his name is David Azulai. He lives in a city in Israel called Rishon LeZion. Happens to be that's where my uncle lives, for those who care. Rishon LeZion. His name is David Azulai. The fact that I'm mentioning his name already inspires me. How does this guy have a zechut to be mentioned in Bet Gavriel in Queens with Chazak and Torah Anytime in front of thousands of people? That's already a proof of every person has a chelik in Judaism, that I'm about to tell you what he did over a story from him. This person, David Azulai, in Eretz Yisrael, they have their July 4th is called Yom HaAtzmaut. Yom HaAtzmaut, everybody's off work. So what do people do when they're off work? They have classes all day. They arrange shiurei Torah of rabbis. They go across the country from shul to shul. And the people that work are off that day. They go to shul and they learn. They have classes like right now, the whole day on Yom HaAtzmaut on July 4th. One specific shul in Rishon LeZion, every year when they had this learning program of rabbis, of classes, they had close to 600 people showing up. 600 people. That year, the Gabbai in the shul announces, this year it's canceled. We're not going to have the learning program. Why? Because they had to fund this money for construction for the shul. So the Gabbai said, I ran out of funds. It costs 45,000 shekel every year when we do this program, that day of learning. I ran out of funds because we have to do construction. This year, no program. David Azulai, who's part of the shul, goes over to the Gabbai and he says, there's no way you're canceling the program. 600 people learning Torah, you're going to cancel? He tells them, what do you want me to do? I don't have the money. We use it on the building. I'm going to get the money. The Gabbai tells him, okay, you want to get the money? Get the money. Listen to what this guy did. This is David Azulai. He goes, he prints out a sign on his computer, for sale. What's for sale? His car. He puts the sign on his car. I am selling my only car that I have for me, my wife, and my kids. We have to take buses from now on in Israel. It's also annoying to take buses. He's selling his car just to have enough funds to pay for people to learn Torah on the day of Yom HaAtzmaut, just to spread Torah. And that's what this David Azulai did. He went, he sold his car, and then he had to add a little more of his cash. He went to the Gabbai and he said, here's the 45,000 shekel. Let's have the learning program on Yom HaAtzmaut. The Gabbai was so inspired. He asked him, what did you do? He said, Machalti et ha'ota sheli. I sold my car. You sold your car for what? For what? To go to Florida? To go to, I don't know what. For what? What did you sell your car for? For Torah. For people to sit and learn Torah and listen to classes of rabbis the day of Yom HaAtzmaut. Listen to what happened next. His boss calls him up. This is David Azulai. He works for a high-tech company. His boss calls him up and he tells him, I have a tremendous, tremendous reward for the act that you did. He's like, how did you even find out about the act? He says, what are you talking about? The whole city's talking about the Kiddush Hashem that you made. You sold your own car for Torah. Come to my office. He goes to his boss's office. He tells him, listen, I have a crazy story to tell you. Recently, I got a call from Chutz La'aretz, from overseas, I don't know which country, of a leasing car company that wants to start investing firms in Israel, in the state of Israel. He called me up, because he knows who I am a little bit, and he says, can you find me 2 guys that you trust that can go around and try to talk to people about starting the leasing company firms in the country for us, like agents. And those 2 guys, we will give them brand new cars 2022. The boss says, boom! As soon as I heard your story, I was like, David Azulai is the right guy. I'm giving you the free car, you have a new job, here are the keys. Done. Rabotai, this is a tremendous story. But you know what the good part about the story is? Not that Hashem hooked him up with a car. Hashem can do anything. The good part of the story is, you have a Jew, his name is David Azulai, no clue what he looks like, not necessarily with a long beard, doesn't learn all day, works all day. Look at the tremendous Kiddush Hashem he just made. That we're sitting here saying over his story of Kiddush Hashem. He sold his car for Torah. You know what that means? And then you have to take buses. Can you imagine back and forth with the buses in Israel? Just for Torah. That's what it means. Every single person has his chelik, his portion of Torah. What this person accomplished, not necessarily anybody else did. Every person has his chelik, his share. Every person has to say, Bishvili nivra ha'olam. The world was created for me. I must accomplish v'akadosh baruch Hu. What does Hashem need me for? Obviously, I have a mission. Obviously, I have strength to fight for Hashem and beat the darkness of this world and fight the culture of the Goyim. Every person has a chelik. When every person says it to himself and reminds himself, I have a share, I have a job, you remind yourself who you are. And that's what Tisha B'Av is about. Rabotai, the Beit HaMikdash was still not rebuilt. The homework is on us. Why was it not rebuilt? Maybe we have to fight harder. Maybe we have to recognize how much there's more to accomplish in this world. One of the names of Mashiach is Tzemach. Tzemach means a plant. Why a plant? Because Mashiach is not going to come chik-chak, just like that. It's going to be a small, gradual step. Just like in the morning, when it's dark, it's out of nowhere, Netzach Hama, sunset or sunrise. Before that, there's Alot HaShachal. La'at, the light comes in the morning. So too, when Mashiach is going to come, it's not going to be chik-chak. It's not going to be, oh, horrible news going on, blah, 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 boom, Mashiach is here. No, it's going to be gradual steps. We're going to see the light of Mashiach more and more clear signs that Mashiach is around the corner. That's what's called Semach, because it grows la'at slowly. Second reason why it's called Semach, a plant, the way you grow a tree, when you put the seed in the ground, it first rots in the ground, and through the rotting of the seed in the ground, then the tree grows and grows. So too, Mashiach is named Tzemach, because when is Mashiach going to come? When the world is going to rot. When the world is going to rot, when the people get more corrupt and more nasty. So there's good news, Rabotai, that the world is getting corrupt. You know what the good news is? The world is getting more rotten. If it's getting more rotten, Tzemach, the name of Mashiach, that means Mashiach is coming. Every single one of us is part of that battle. Be like Miriam. I'm going to finish off with this. Rav Ilan Meirov is here. I'm going to finish off with this. Miriam, what a true hero. Paro tells her, I want you to kill every single firstborn son. What does Miriam tell him in short? Can you imagine Paro invites you? Imagine right now Lahavdil, this guy from China, King Shi, whatever his name is, he invites you to his office in China and tells you, hey, you, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. Imagine you tell him, yeah, of course, she, yeah, of course, no problem. And then you go behind his back and you lie to him? That's very dangerous. You don't mess with the king of China or Putin and all those guys. Paro was much worse. Miriam gets invited to Paro. Paro tells her, hey, you're a nurse? Please kill all the babies. What does Miriam tell him? Oh, sure, of course. Yes, of course, my majesty, of course. What does she do? She goes behind his back and is loyal to Hashem, loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and she does not listen to Paro. Adarabah. She fights back. She gives more life to babies. She jokes with them. She laughs with them. She gives them more life. Then Paro calls her back and he tells her, what did you do? What did you do? And Miriam basically lies to him again. There's a tremendous lesson to be learned from Miriam. This is serious stuff. Miriam was a true warrior of Hashem. A true lochemet. She really fought for God. Look at her loyalty. To stand up in front of Paro and say, no! Lie to his face. As long as you loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Choose. Do you turn your back on Hashem? Or do you turn your back on Paro? Miriam turned her back on Paro, not against Hashem. Every single one of us, as we live in this generation, we have a choice to make. Are you going to turn your backs on Hashem and the Torah? Or are you going to turn your backs against all your teachers in college and all your teachers in universities and all their entertainment and all the celebrities and all the politicians? Turn your back and be loyal only to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We were born in this world to serve Hashem. That's what we're here, for no other reason. Hashem chose us. It's a great compliment, by the way, that Hashem chose us. We will succeed. Mashiach is going to come, Bezrat Hashem, very soon. Because we're going to win the battle and push the choshech, the darkness, with light. Thank you so much for listening.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.